Have you ever really stopped and thought about time? We live our lives as though it's a straight line, beginning at birth, moving forward step by step until we eventually reach the end. That's the story we're told. That's how human perception interprets reality. But what if that's not what time really is? What if time isn't a river flowing forward, but an illusion created by the way we experience life as linear beings? Because think about it. Every moment we've ever lived, and every moment we're ever going to live, is already here. Outside of this narrow human lens, outside of space, matter, and sequence, there's no such thing as before or after. There is only the eternal now. Existence isn't unfolding, it's already woven. It's not a movie reel that plays one frame at a time. It's more like a tapestry, whole, complete, and infinite. When we're incarnated here, when we zoom into the thread, it looks like a sequence. We see birth, growth, choices, accidents, meetings, losses, as though events are coming at us in real time. But if you step outside of it, if you imagine standing beyond the veil of space and time, you're not looking at an unfolding story. You're looking at something already finished. Every possible event, every version of you, every choice you've ever made, all of it already there, already woven into the infinite pattern. What we call life is really just consciousness, focusing its attention on a particular part of the design, like zooming into a single thread in an infinite tapestry. When you zoom in, you see the illusion of sequence, movement, cause and effect. But when you zoom out, you realize the whole thing already exists. And that's why strange phenomena begin to make sense. Things like synchronicity, déjà vu, even quantum entanglement. They're not magical exceptions to the rule. They're glimpses of the truth. They're places where the tapestry shows through, where the illusion of linear time flickers and you catch a glimpse of the bigger picture. If everything already exists in the tapestry, then nothing is really separate. What looks like distance and disconnection is only a trick of perception. Take quantum entanglement. Science describes it as two particles linked together in such a way that no matter how far apart they are, they respond instantly to each other. To us it looks impossible. How can they be communicating faster than light, we ask? But from the perspective of the tapestry, there's no communication at all. Those two particles aren't separate things sending messages. They're just two threads of the same stitch. They were never apart to begin with. And this same principle plays out in everyday life in ways we often overlook. Think about pets. Most of the time we don't sit down and carefully plan when to bring a dog or a cat into our life. Sometimes we do, but more often than not, it just happens. A stray wanders into your world, a friend can't keep their pet and asks you if you'll take them. Or you find yourself walking into a shelter one day, and there's just one animal that feels like it's there waiting for you. And once they're in your life, you'll notice something strange. You go out. You can be out for a few hours. And when you return, there they are, already in the window, waiting. People call this intuition. Some call it quantum entanglement. But really, it's the tapestry. It was always going to be that way. That dog was always yours. That cat was always going to cross your path. Their waiting at the window and your returning home are not two separate events. They are the same woven stitch in infinity. From inside the dream, it feels like magic. From outside, it's simply structure. So what we call synchronicity, entanglement, or intuition isn't bending reality, it's glimpsing the fact that reality was already whole, and that what you're experiencing now was never in doubt. Now here's where it gets interesting. If everything is already woven, if every variation of you and every possible outcome already exists within infinity, then what is free will? Most people think of free will as the ability to change the future, to make a choice, and by making it, cause a different reality to appear. But if all realities already exist, then you don't actually create outcomes. What you're really doing is moving your attention. You are shifting from one part of the fractal, where a certain event is happening, to another part of the fractal, where it already is. That's what free will truly is. It's not small, it's not limited. Free will is your omnipotent nature. It's the infinite part of you choosing where to look within the dream. Think of it like tuning a radio. Every frequency is already being broadcast. The songs already exist. By turning the dial, you don't make the station exist, you simply align yourself with it. That's what you're doing every time you make a choice. The multiverse isn't billions of separate universes branching off like tree limbs. It's one infinite tapestry that already contains every possibility. When you choose, you're not generating something new. You're slipping into the version of yourself where that choice is already being lived. This is why you are both the dreamer and the dream. At the level of ego, you seem small, trapped in circumstances, struggling to change things. But at the level of the infinite self, the one who dreamed the tapestry into being, you are omnipotence itself, zooming in and out, sliding attention across infinity, experiencing every variation of existence that can possibly be. So free will isn't the act of bending reality. Free will is remembering that you are reality. You are the dreamer with the power to shift the dream simply by choosing where to place your awareness. If you are infinite, if you are truly omnipotent, then why would you ever choose to experience limitation, suffering, or pain? Because here's the truth. The ego doesn't want those things. The ego wants comfort, abundance, security. But the ego is not who you really are. The ego is just a mask. The real you, the infinite you, comes here precisely to experience what it cannot experience anywhere else. Hunger, thirst, loss, separation, the fear of death. These are impossible in your omnipotent state. But here within the veil, they feel absolutely real. And that is the point. It's only through suffering that the taste of joy becomes so profound. Only through limitation that freedom has any meaning. The God self doesn't need perfection, it needs contrast. Without it, there is no here at all. And this is why trying to force control with the ego always backfires. The more you grasp, the more trapped you become. Life starts to feel like it's happening to you rather than flowing through you. The paradox is this: when the ego thinks it's in control, you become stuck. When you let go, when you surrender, when you align with the truth that you are both the dreamer and the dream, that's when real power flows back in. It doesn't mean life will never bite you. As long as you're here, as long as the veil has its grip, challenges will arise. But the difference is this: instead of fighting reality, you can surf it. Instead of clinging to the mask, you can become lucid within the dream. Suffering isn't the enemy, it's the texture of the tapestry. And once you see that, pain doesn't become meaningless, it becomes sacred. The veil is the greatest mystery in human existence. It's the reason you feel separate from Source, the reason you fear, the reason you crave, the reason you suffer. And yet, here's the paradox. The veil isn't something done to you. It's not an external trap. The veil is you. It's what I call the self-imposed conspiracy, a mask that you, in your omnipotent state, put on in order to make the dream convincing. It exists at every layer of reality we call physical. At the most basic level, it begins with separation, the illusion that you are in here and the world is out there. Then it deepens into the body, hunger, thirst, pain, the drive to survive, the fear of death. Then it expands into the social world, governments, religions, cults, narcissists, power structures, all the games of control that keep you small. And beyond that, there are the shadow layers, secret organizations, conspiracies, hidden hands. But even those are just masks you created for yourself. Because all of it, every part of it, is you. The veil is not an enemy, it's not a prison. It's the necessary condition for limitation. Without it, there would be no here, no story, no experience of separation. And once you understand this, everything changes. You stop fighting against the veil. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance or control. You realize you are the veil, just as much as you are the dreamer behind it. The beauty is this: once you become lucid inside the dream, once you see through the mask, you can step into a more omnipotent experience of life. You can shape, you can create, you can move through existence with far more freedom. But the veil never fully drops while you're here. That's by design. If it did, the dream would end instantly. So the art is not to escape, but to awaken within, to live with one foot in the dream and one foot in eternity. When you look closely at nature, you see something remarkable. Every species, every ecosystem exists in balance. The right number of males and females, the right number of hunters and prey. Even in human society, the right balance of lovers, caregivers, healers and teachers. And just as much the right balance of narcissists, manipulators and destroyers. Because nature is not random. Nature is intelligent. Nature is you. It is infinite consciousness, regulating itself with perfect precision. So what we call evil is not an independent force. Evil is not a thing in itself. It's a lack of something, a shadow, an absence of love, a mask worn by infinity to make limitation more convincing. Think about it this way. If every human being were gentle and kind, the illusion would collapse. If everyone lived in perfect harmony, you would remember too quickly who you really are. The dream would lose its power. And just look at how veiled the world already is. Look at how much pain, how much hardship, how much suffering there is right now. And yet people like you, like me, are still awakening, still breaking through the cracks in the illusion. So imagine what would happen if the world were even slightly more utopian. If there was more abundance, more comfort, more ease. The illusion wouldn't last 5 minutes. It wouldn't be convincing, because even under the weight of all this darkness, people still do wake up. And so the balance includes darkness. It includes suffering. It includes cruelty. Not because infinity is sadistic, but because infinity is complete. For you to taste the fullness of existence, every flavor must be on the table. The narcissist plays their role just as much as the healer. The tyrant is as much a part of the tapestry as the saint. They are not errors in the system, they are features of the veil. When you see this, something shifts. You stop demonizing the shadows. You stop believing that evil wins. You see that even the darkest forces are part of the same intelligence, part of the same balance, part of you. It doesn't mean you excuse cruelty or pretend suffering isn't real. It means you understand that even these experiences are woven into the design, because without them, there would be no design at all. If there's one thing to understand about all of this, it's that reality doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in circles. There's no such thing as a true beginning, no such thing as a final end. Those are human constructs, born out of the way we experience time. But in truth, there is only the eternal now. Existence is fractal. It spirals, loops, it remembers and then forgets, and then it remembers again. This is the rhythm of infinity. You awaken to your true nature, you become lucid in the dream, and for a time you experience yourself as infinite, as free, as omnipotent. But eventually, the cycle turns. You forget again. You put the mask back on. You immerse once more in separation, in limitation, in the veil. And that's not a tragedy. That's the beauty of it, because forever is a very, very long time. And if you only ever stayed awake, only ever lived inside the state of omnipotence, eventually you would crave the richness of forgetting. You would long for the raw, convincing intensity of separation. That is why you've been doing this endlessly. Waking and sleeping, remembering and forgetting, playing both prisoner and liberator, both saint and sinner, victim and creator. It's not a trap, it's not a punishment, it's play. It's the eternal cycle of consciousness experiencing itself from every possible angle. And when you begin to see it for what it is, something incredible happens. You stop clinging to either side of the pendulum. You stop fearing the forgetting. You stop grasping for permanent enlightenment. And instead, you learn to dance with the rhythm, to enjoy awakening while it lasts, and to trust forgetting when it comes. Because both are sacred, both are you, both are infinity doing what infinity has always done and always will. So where does this leave us? It leaves us here, in the dream, in the middle of the veil, in a place where things don't always make sense, where suffering still stings, where separation still feels real. But now you know something you didn't know before. You know that you're not just the character, you are also the author. You are the dreamer and the dream. You don't have to escape, there's nowhere to escape to. You don't have to fight against the veil, because the veil is you. The point is not to break the dream, the point is to become lucid inside it. To move through your life awake, knowing that every joy and every sorrow, every loss and every gain every shadow, and every light is a mask worn by infinity for you. And once you see this, life stops being something that happens to you. It becomes something you are consciously experiencing. You can relax your grip, you can surrender control, and in that surrender, you find the deepest kind of freedom. Because you are not going anywhere. You have never left source. You have only been playing, hiding from yourself, and finding yourself again, and you always will. So remember this. You don't need to fear the darkness. You don't need to cling to the light. Both are sacred, both are necessary, and both are you. Wake up when it's time to wake. Forget when it's time to forget. And in between, walk through the dream lucid, knowing that you are infinity itself, surfing eternity, forever.